What's up, everybody? Yu-Gi-Oh! 101 Archetype review. And here we're going to be reviewing the Gimmick puppets as promised in my A-DSplay uploading schedule. Um, so as is with these reviews, I go in depth and I review each of the monsters, and then we go back and we talk about what the monsters' uh, strategies are, as well as theirs, as well as the other cards that can work good with them, um, etc., etc. So with that being said, let's get started. So what are the gimmick puppets? Okay, so the gimmick puppets are all either level 4 or level 8 machine type monsters, with the exception of um, Gear Changer, which is level 1. But I'm saying, like we can get into him, saying, like once we get uh, to all of the individual cards. But pretty much the archetype specializes in rank 8 exceeds and in placing level 8 monsters on the field through various means of special summoning. Um, there's 3 exceed monsters in the archetype. There's Giant Grinder, there's um, Puppet of Strings, uh, and there's Leo. And each of them bring their own special uniqueness to this build, and we're going to talk about them, saying once we start to get into the individual cards themselves. So first up, we have Destroy. Now this is one of the newer gimmick puppets that was just recently confirmed as a, wait, let me make sure this, I believe it was a promo card. Yes, a V-Jump promo. It was just recently like announced, like last week, I believe. And what it is, it's a dark machine effect monster, level 4, attack 1200, defense 2000. Description: you can target one gimmick puppet monster you control and destroy it. This effect can only be used once while this card is face up on the field. When this card is sent from the field to the graveyard, you can special summon up to 2 gimmick puppet monsters from your hand. So next up we have Dreary Doll. And this is a dark machine effect monster, level 8, attack defense 0. Description: if this card is in your graveyard, you can banish one of the gimmick puppet monster from your graveyard, special summon this card from your graveyard. You can only use the effect of gimmick puppet Dreary Doll once per turn. This card cannot be used as an exceed material except for the exceed summon of a gimmick puppet monster. So that's number 2. Moving on. Up next, we have Sir Eggsalot. No, just joking around. We have Gimmick Puppet Egghead, who kind of looks like Humpty Dumpty to me. But yeah, it's an Earth Machine effect monster. Level 4, attack 1600, defense 1200. Description: you can only use the effect of Gimmick Puppet Egghead once per turn. You can discard one gimmick puppet monster, then activate one of these effects. Inflict 800 damage to your opponent. This card's level becomes 8 until the end phase. So this one right here has 2 effects. He burns and he can turn himself into a level 8 monster. And next up we have Gimmick Puppet Gear Changer. It's a Earth Machine effect monster, level 1, attack and defense both 100. Description: cannot be special summoned from the deck. Once per turn, you can target one gimmick puppet monster you control. Except this card. This card's level becomes the level of that monster. And up next, we have Gimmick Puppet Magnet Doll, which is one of the first gimmick puppets that was introduced. It's a dark machine effect monster, level 8, attack and defense both 1000. Description: if your opponent controls a monster and you control only gimmick puppet monsters, you can special summon this card from your hand. And after him, we have Gimmick Puppet Nightmare, which is by far one of the ugliest cards I've ever seen. And it got blindfolds and everything. I don't know if they are into like some S&M type Shit, I don't know, but yeah, it's a gimmick puppet nightmare. It's a dark machine effect monster, level 8, attack 1000, defense 2000. Description: you can special summon this card from your hand by attributing one face-up exceed monster you control. You can only special summon Gimmick Puppet Nightmare once per turn this way. When you do, you can special summon one Gimmick Puppet Nightmare from your hand or graveyard. If this card is special summoned, you can only special summon any. You cannot special summon any monsters for the rest of this turn except Gimmick Puppet monsters. So, up next we have Gimmick Puppet Scissor Arms, and this is a Dark Machine Effect Monster, level 4, attack 1200, defense 600. Description: when this card is normal summon, you can send one Gimmick Puppet monster from your deck to the graveyard. So this card dumps them straight from the deck to the graveyard. And next up we have Gimmick Puppet Twilight Joker. It's a Dark Machine Effect Monster, level 8, attack 800, defense 1600. Description: when a Gimmick Puppet monster you control is destroyed by battle and sent to the graveyard, you can banish that monster. Special summon this card from your hand. You can only use the effect of Gimmick Puppet Twilight Joker once per turn. And there we go. Now moving on to the big three, the exceeds. First up is number 15, Gimmick Puppet Giant Grinder. It is a Dark Machine Exceed Effect Monster, rank 8. Attack 1500, defense 2500. Description: 2 level 8 monsters, up to twice per turn. During your main phase 1, you can detach one exceed material from this card, then target one special summon monster your opponent controls, destroy it. Then, if it was an exceed monster, inflict damage to your opponent equal to its original attack. So, and up next we have Gimmick Puppet of Strings. It is a Dark Machine Exceed Effect Monster, rank 8 as well. Attack 3000, defense 2000. Description: 2 level 8 monsters once per turn. You can detach one exceed material from this card. Place one string counter on each face-up monster on the field, except this card. If you do, during your opponent's next end phase, destroy the monsters with string counters. If you do, inflict 500 damage to your opponent for each monster destroyed. And last but not least, for the monsters, we have number 88, Gimmick Puppet of Leo. It's a Dark Machine Exceed Effect Monster, rank 8, attack 3200, defense 2300. Description: 3 level 8 monsters once per turn. If you have no cards in your spell and trap card zone, you can detach one exceed material from this card. If you do, place one destiny counter on this card. You cannot conduct your battle phase during the turn you activate this effect. When 3 destiny counters are on this card, you win the duel. So this has an automatic win condition, which is something that hasn't been seen for a while in this game. So let me minimize all these screens. Don't know why I didn't do this as I was going through these cards earlier. But yeah. So the 2 support cards that they have in the game are Junk Puppet and Puppet Ritual. Now these 2 cards I want to speak on in particularly, so like once I give the rundown of all the cards. Taking its good sweet time loading. Okay, so first up we gonna do, whoa, there we go, Junk Puppet. And it's a normal spell card. And the card description: target one Gimmick Puppet monster in your graveyard, special summon that monster. You can only activate one Junk Puppet per turn. So basically this is like a monster reborn for this archetype. That's pretty much it. There's nothing else that needs to be said for this. This is a monster reborn for this archetype. But I'm gonna still go back to it as promised. So X out of that. And we have Puppet Ritual. And this is a normal spell card. Card description: if your opponent's life points are at least 2,000 higher than yours, you can target one level 8 Gimmick Puppet monster in your graveyard. Special summon those targets. You can only activate one Puppet Ritual per turn. You cannot conduct your battle phase the turn you activate this card. Now this is one of the cards I really wanted to speak on. So again, I'm gonna be coming back to that. So next what we're going to do is just give a rundown of how these cards are meant to work. Of course, just based on my experience, because I've been playing with the Gimmick puppets ever since they came into, like the game, or or ever since I've been able to use them on websites such as, Dueling Network, and on the YuGiOh Pro site. So first up, we're going to talk about Gimmick Puppet Destroy. Now, its effect allows you to target one Gimmick Puppet monster that you control, and you can destroy it, as its name implies. And when you do that, you can special summon 2 Gimmick Puppet monsters from your hand. Now, one of the fascinating things about this is that it can destroy itself, because it actually just ties into its own effect. As you can see right there, it says you can target one Gimmick Puppet monster you control and destroy it. And when this card is sent from the field to the graveyard, you can special summon 2 Gimmick Puppet monsters from your hand. See, those 2 right there just go together hand in hand. This card can blow itself up, and you can, and from that, you'll be able to get those 2 special summons. And moving on to Jury Doll, which is one of the more unique monsters, and one of those monsters I really had to talk about, because I've had some unpleasant experiences with other players who didn't understand that this card was not a Nami monster. It was a regular monster that just had a special summoning condition. Jury Doll can resurrect itself by banishing another Gimmick Puppet monster in your graveyard. Even this is optional. This is not something that is needed to get this card on the field. You can get it on the field by normal means, which I don't understand why anyone would do that, but still, you can do that. You contribute 2 monsters and you can get this card on the field. So it is a regular monster that can be normal summoned by normal means, and it can also be special summoned by regular special summon means. Now, the incident that took place that I'm really that I'm emphasizing on is that on Dueling Network, and I think you guys seen this in one of my videos, that I was playing against this guy, and I used reasoning. And when I used reasoning, I had dumped this card, from my deck to my graveyard, or what have you. And when I had special summoned it, he didn't understand that this card is not a Nami monster, meaning that this card is not special summon only. It's just a regular monster with an optional special summoning condition that you can use in order to get this monster on the field. It's not something that is mandatory for you to do. It is optional in order for you to get it on the field. So that's one thing it does, is that it banishes other Gimmick Puppets from your graveyard that you feel like you may not need ever again. Pretty much, more than likely, this is going to end up being like Magnet Doll, or to some other extent, saying like Scissor Hands, because you pretty much aren't going to need Scissor Hands after you use it that one time anyway. So, like I said, that's just my opinion about it. Next up, we have Egghead. Now, Egghead has 2 effects. He can do burn damage, or he can turn himself into a level 8, which pretty much just speaks for itself. It is level 4, 1600 attack, so it's not like it can be, saying like searched by Giant Rat or what have you. But it's one of those cards that is very versatile. In the event that your opponent may only have like 800 or less life points left, you can just summon this guy and you can just burn that away. So yeah, like he's alright in my eyes. And next up we have Gimmick Puppet Gear Changer. Now, this is one of, if not the only level 1 monster um, that can't be uh, special summoned from the deck, and for good reason. He mimics the other monsters in its archetype, you know, which can pretty much just turn him into level 8. And I think it would be kind of cheap if they allowed that to happen. You know, again, another reason why they banned Sangan, because of cards like this and many others. As I've already stated in other videos, but yeah, he mimics the other gimmick puppet monsters levels, which more times than none will be level 8. But of course, sometimes you may find yourself in a position where you only have, you know, a level 4 on the field, and you would end up, you know, using it for like a in all honesty, like a rare, you know, rank 4 exceed summon, which is unlikely because um, of the restrictions that this archetype places on the player. But nevertheless, it's still there. So yeah. Next up, we have Gimmick Puppet Magnet Doll, which is basically like the quote-unquote Cyber Dragon-esque card of the archetype. If your opponent controls a monster and the only monsters you control are the monsters in the archetype on your side of the field, then you'll be able to special summon it from your hand, which of course is just going to lend itself to a quick exceed summon. You know, so if you have a level 4 such as Egghead, which can turn itself into a level 8 on the field, you'll be able to special summon him and you'll be able to get that right off. Or if you have Gear Changer on the field, which is another one, you know, and then you put this guy on the field, then you'll be able to, again, you'll be able to use Gear Changer's effect to mimic this card's level, and you can get a rank 8 exceed out like that. So next up, I think the next up is right here, Gimmick Puppet Nightmare. Now this card can special summon itself by tributing one face-up exceed monster that you control. Now the card that you should tribute, in my opinion, should be Giant Grinder after its exceeds are used up. The reason why I say that is because once its exceeds are used up, it's basically just like an iron wall. You know what I mean? It can be used. You can use Nightmare to get, you know, like another giant puppet out, because Nightmare can special summon another copy of itself. Let me get back to him so you can see it. Yeah, as you can see in the card description, you know, you can special summon this card from your hand by tributing one face-up exceed monster you control. Again, that target, you know, in my opinion, should be Giant Killer, because after you use up that monster's exceeds, it's pretty much just like a sitting duck at that point. And that could be good, of course, if the situation calls for it, but you want to be careful, you know. And again, if the situation calls for you to leave it on the field in defense mode, then it is a iron wall. It has 2500 defense, and yeah, and in all honesty, like, that's not that easy to get past. You know, it's relatively easier these days because of all these, you know, special summons and what have you, you know, these monster effects. But still, that 2500 is still, you know, a challenge to, you know, like, get past. But, you know, so like, back to this card, you know, it can special summon itself by tributing one face-up exceed monster you control. And when you do this, you know, you can special summon another Nightmare either from your hand or your graveyard. Now, when you do this, again, you are only able to special summon monsters from the archetype. It won't let you special summon anything else. So again, going right back to the exceeds, you know, if you're running a pure Gimmick Puppet archetype, basically all you're going to be able to exceed summon into most of the time are the exceed monsters that are in the archetype. You know, Gimmick, Puppet of Strings, Giant Grinder, and Leo. That's pretty much your only options with this archetype. Next up, we have uh, Gimmick, Puppet, Scissor Arms, which is basically like the foolish burial of the archetype. Um, you know, when this card is normal summon, you can send one Gimmick Puppet monster from your deck to your graveyard. It's a lot of naive people out there that have been tricked. They don't read the card text and they think that this effect happens when this card is special summoned. It's clearly right there in the card text. And I know some of you people can agree with me. Like, you run into these people on Dueling Network, you run into them on Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro, or like whatever other Yu-Gi-Oh! Card game playing site they have out there that I may not know about. I'm pretty sure that you people also run into them. And they don't pay attention to the card text because either they're new to the game or they might be trying to, you know, saying like uh pull a fast one on you. And yeah, so you just got to pay attention to the card text. That's basically all I can say. Please don't let people trick you into really doing anything stupid. But yeah, this card is the foolish burial for the archetype. Now your main target for this, of course, is going to be Dreary Doll, because Dreary Doll has that effect that it can special summon itself from the graveyard. You know, by banishing other exceed materials, and to a lesser extent, with Scissor Hands, your other target would be Nightmare, because it has an effect that, of course, can where it is able to special summon another copy of itself from either the hand or the graveyard. So this is another target for Scissor Hands. And minimize these screens again. My bad. All right, so where we at next? Twilight Joker. Twilight Joker, by far the fragile biggest scythe I have ever seen. This card is pretty much just like a backup in the event that your exceed monsters get destroyed. Well, or if any Gimmick Puppet gets, you know, like destroyed by battle in a sense of the graveyard, you'll be able to banish that monster and you'll be able to special summon this from your hand. So this is like a backup exceed material. So it can set you up for like your upcoming turn. You know what I'm saying? Just granted that your opponent doesn't have another monster on the field that will take it out. But even then, you'll be able to, you know, saying like special summon it in defense mode, and you'll be able to use it to, you know, saying like block any incoming attacks that your opponent may have with their other monsters or what have you. And yeah, so that's Gimmick Puppet right there. Strings, I mean, well, moving on to the exceeds. Giant Grinder, it's self-explanatory. It destroys special summon monsters, and if the monster that was special summoned was an exceed, it caused burn damage based on its attack. Not too much there with that. Again, Giant Grinder, he's good, as is all exceed monsters, but until all of its exceed materials are used up, you know, and then you can use it with Nightmare, you know, as some tribute fodder in order to special summon Nightmare. Then we have Strings, that basically gives everybody on the field except itself the germ and HIV, and during your opponent's end phase, it just blows them all up. It kills them. So yeah, I apologize for anybody that may have that's watching this. I don't mean it in like any type of disrespectful way. Yeah, everybody gets a little bit oversensitive, but yeah. And you can inflict damage to your opponent. This includes your monsters. You know, you can put the counters on your monsters as well. And you know, if you have like a strong field and your opponent has, like, I would say, at least like 2,000 life points left, at the most you'll be able to get 2,000 off of your, well, like 2,000 off of this effect if all of your monster card zones are used up. and you know what I'm saying, like your opponent doesn't have any monsters on their side of the field. So that's a lot of, there's a potential for like a lot of burn damage there with this card. And also it does have some, you know, some nice 3000 attack as well, and that's always helpful. And then we have Leo, the automatic win condition of the three. Now this one takes 3 level 8 exceeds, of course, but there's one thing to be noted about this card is that in order to use this effect, you can't, you are basically just leaving yourself wide open. Like literally, you are putting yourself in a position with Leo that makes your opponent feel comfortable because you have no back row. If you're going to use this effect that it has, you can't place any back row down. So that's pretty much just like open season for your opponent. So this is one of those cards that I wouldn't say that you would want to use, you know what I'm saying, like late game, just for the simple fact that you want to make sure that, you know, you don't bring this guy out on the field when things are still, you know, hot. Because it can really be, you know what I'm saying, like hard for you to like recover from this because you have 3 monsters that you have to use for this. And on top of that, you can put yourself in a position where your opponent can like dark hole you, or they can use some type of spell card to, you know what I'm saying, like take out Leo, and then you don't have any back row. You know, more times than none, you know, because of the way these, like this archetype operates, you won't have that many cards left in your hand to use. And without that back row, you know what I'm saying, like for support, if they take Leo out, you know, at any time during their turn, and they like just swarm the field with monsters, then you pretty much are fucked. You pretty much are fucked because you won't be able to protect yourself. So that's one of those things you have to be, you know, like aware of when using Leo. So let me X out this, and on to the card that I really want to get on. This is one of these support cards. Waiting on this thing to load. Man, we are going on like 27 minutes. I did say this was going to be like an in-depth review. I hope this was helpful to a lot of people. We have Puppet Ritual. Now this was one of the cards that I really wanted to again speak on because there's some interesting card combinations that can really be used. Well, not card combinations, but you can set yourself up for this card fairly easy. And first off, let me X out of all these. Gotta X out this one, at least some more, because my computer is slowing down. I just gotta make sure that you know, everything is cool, and it's speeding up a little bit more. There we go. Sorry, this is like taking forever. Alright, there we go. And done. Now, this is a card that can only be activated when your opponent's, well, when your life points are 2,000 less than your opponent's. When your opponent's life points are at least 2,000 higher than yours. Now, there are 2 cards in particular that I feel we should bring up in Solemn Judgment and Solemn Warning. Now, anybody who's been subscribed to me since the first episode of YuGiOh 101, you know that I strongly disavow the use of Solemn Judgment and Solemn Warning. Here's the way my mind works in Yu-Gi-Oh! If you can't use the card to set yourself up for like some future plays, then basically it's useless, because all you're getting out of Solemn Judgment is that you're paying all of these life points to basically stop one card. Now, granted, that one card could be like this big break in your um opponent's card combo or what have you, but still, I'm paying half of my life points. One thing that you have to understand is that when you're paying life points, you're basically just helping out your opponent. You know what I'm saying? Because in turn, when you pay in life points, that's left. You know what I'm saying? Like that's less work they have to do to like win the game, and that's enough to turn me away from these cards. That's why I really disavow the use of Solemn Warning and Solemn Judgment. But in this particular case, it's good if you're running Puppet Ritual and you're running multiple copies of it. Then these are cards that can help. That can saying like set you up for those activation conditions. Your opponent's life points has to be 2,000 higher than yours. In turn, your life points have to be 2,000 lower than your opponent's in order to activate this. Solemn Judgment takes away half of your life points, so at max it'll take away 4,000, thus putting you in a position to activate Puppet Ritual. And Solemn Warning takes off 2,000 off top, so that puts you in a position right there alone just to get this card, activated. Again, like, what else can you get out of your cards outside of what they do? Is this something that can set you up for some future plays? What can you benefit from paying all those life points? And now you have that in a card like Puppet Ritual. Now that's something interesting to say. And that's the reason why I wanted to bring that up. Of course, with this card, you won't be able. If you activate this card, you'll be able to special summon two Gimmick puppet monsters in your graveyard, but you won't be able to activate your battle phase. So one of the so the monster that you should exceed summon when using this should be something that can cause some type of burn damage. So in my opinion, I think Giant Grinder would be like the best card to exceed summon after using this, because with Giant Grinder, it's not an offensive card, like in terms of attack, but more than likely, it will be in defense mode anyway, but its effect allows you to still cause some damage to your opponent, and you don't have to worry about, like entering your battle phase. So that's like a loophole through this card to where you can still cause damage to your opponent and you ain't got to worry about entering your battle phase. Some other cards that can work good with this that I've used, cards like Machine Duplication, as well as cards as like this right here, Exceed Reception. In the event that you end up summoning Dreary Doll, like from the graveyard, and you really don't have any Exceed monsters that can special summon themselves from the hand or what have you, or you've already, like used up your one normal summon, then this card is good, for this archetype, because it can special summon a monster, like with the same level from your hand, but of course its effects are negated, which is nothing to worry about since you're just going to be exceed summoning with the monsters anyway. So this is something good to use with it. Again, this Machine Duplication, and there's some other cards out there that I probably haven't even looked at that can work good with this. So the Gimmick Puppets overall is a very cool archetype. As many archetypes are in this era of Yu-Gi-Oh, they pretty much just specialize in swarming the field with monsters in order to get these high-ranking exceed monsters out. The one downfall, of course, like I said, is that when you use the Gimmick Puppets, you have to understand that they are an archetype that only sticks, like to their own. They don't allow any exceed summoning outside of Grinder, Leo, and strings, but with Leo, Giant Grinder, and strings alone, you still have enough in your arsenal in order to like bring you some victory. Like with this archetype. So hope you guys enjoyed this. I know it was very lengthy, but I tried to let you guys know ahead of time that I was going in depth. Um, I know I kind of, saying like stuttered a little bit, but hey, that's just my little case of stage fright. I'm still trying to get over that, but nevertheless, hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you guys enjoyed my card suggestions. I hope this was informative, and I hope you guys had fun watching this video. So until next time, peace. I'll see you guys later.